Hello, everybody. Coach Larry here. Um, Again, my name is Larry Lazar. I'm a business and health coach in the New York area, and this is sort of a health segment. My personal health journey, and I'm, you've seen other health segments on this channel before. Um, and just so you know, I'm not a doctor, so nothing I say is medical advice. It goes against conventional wisdom, but that's only because certain things that I've researched, and there's some studies that are easily found through Google, and some other notables on YouTube, such as Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chafee, uh, and even some other people out there that are not doctors, like this guy Kerry of Homestead How, who's doing a documentary called Healing Humanity about a proper human diet. And now I've been following this proper human diet for a while, and I've had some amazing results. A little bit about my own journey. I started off, uh, eating this standard American crap diet, very carb based. And as a result, I became morbidly obese, developed type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure. I've had obstructive sleep apnea, and which also led to fatigue and some thyroid issues. I was put on a few medications. I got off of a couple of a few, one of which, by the way, I also had high blood pressure, as I said, and also high cholesterol. And they put me on a statin for a while, and that gave me some horrible side effects. So I discontinued the statins, and I also learned later on through the YouTube videos and whatnot from some of the aforementioned doctors, as well as some other other research that shows that I that statins really cause more harm than good. In fact, the relative risk, they promote relative risk, but the absolute risk reduction is negligible at best. Anyway, as I said, I'm not a doctor. I can't give medical advice. This is based on personal experiences and the experiences of friends, family, and coaching clients. Now, as far as as far as my own personal health journey, which is basically what I'm going to talk about a little bit. As I said, I was on the standard American diet, which caused a lot more problems than it solved, leading to morbid obesity, and, diabetes, and so forth. And what was interesting to note is that the treatments that I was getting for, you know, with the medications and telling me to, do portion control and taking the statins, which gave me some really bad side effects, which I can get into later. I realized that I started looking into alternative options. I was uh, I was told to check out Jason Fung, and he talks a lot about intermittent fasting and how fasting is beneficial, and having the 16/8, and sometimes even extending the fasting window, reducing the eating window. And some people say And people don't like saying intermittent fasting. Some will say time restricted eating. Either way is important. Now, yes, I still have a double chin, but it's a lot less than it used to be. Um, so I started off with intermittent fasting, but I was still doing the standard crap diet. And but I started losing weight on that because I during the fasting period I was developing something called autophagy, which was basically a cleansing process, and it started working. And then I started going ketogenic, and the keto was also helping me to improve health markers. I mean, beforehand, my blood sugar levels were like in the high hundreds, 200, even in the 200 range. One time I even saw it up to three, and it was like, whoa. Actually, a couple times it was up in that high range. And I remember even when I was in the hospital for a lung issue, uh, a number of years ago, whenever my blood sugar would spike up above 150, they would give me insulin injection. And a lot of the things I've learned is that my diabetes, being type 2, is not insulin dependent, but insulin resistant. And when I learned that, since the body is producing insulin and the cells are refusing the insulin, it's like, and I was becoming insulin resistant. And that's why a lot of times uh, my insulin levels, even though were probably going up because I was gaining weight. And I wasn't eating right. But then when I started doing ketogenic, which helped to reduce, improve my markers, I still had high blood pressure. I still had the other issues that I mentioned: sleep apnea, high blood, and all these other things. And I realized something else that, and then I started watching videos from Dr. Ken Berry, and he promoted a meat-based diet where cut back, cut away most fruits, cut away grains, uh, even starchy vegetables, which makes sense because carbohydrates turn into sugar, which spikes up the insulin, and then of course you have to go somewhere. And I've had people, both from family, friends, colleagues, that have had that have had some serious issues regarding their diabetes, amputations, kidney issues, blindness, and so forth. And people, and of course, later on dying from heart attacks or strokes. And I'm thinking, wait a second, is this going to be my fate? I tried anything, and then I went meat based. I started going mostly meats, little salads every now and then, but not so much, and try to pull back on other things. And and I lost like 60 pounds in a year's time, which was at that point amazing. And then and I looked better. I wasn't as morbidly obese as I was back in the early 2000s. I also started doing a little different, doing other things that were different, um, by eating mostly red meat, some poultry, and of course fish. Um, my break, it's my blood sugar had come down considerably. Now, instead of having ultra high blood sugar spikes. I mean, once in a while they do go up, but not as bad as it used to be. In fact, mostly these days it's been under 100. I went from being, and my A1Cs have gone from like the 8, 9, 10 to five, to under 6, 5.8 in that ballpark. And my goal, be by December, my goal is that for my A1Cs to go. Right now, it went from full diabetes to pre-diabetes. My goal is to have my A1Cs under 5, and I think it can be done if I continue to go on this path: high fat, high protein, and little to no carbs. Because if you look at because and I've seen this work. There's a few books that I'm going to be recommending in the show notes that on that you can get on Amazon. You can get it on you know they have the Kindle version, paperback, and even Audible for those of you that want to do a lot of traveling and you're driving and you can't obviously read a book while driving, but you can listen to the book being read to you, which is very, which is a good thing. Now, as I said, I'm not a doctor. I don't give medical advice. But for me, I went from having high blood pressure and like over 200 to like 200 over 100, or sometimes even higher than that, to now having, I mean, yes, I'm still taking a blood pressure medicine, but it's a very low dose, and I'm I'm staying in the normal range. Every so often, it even goes down to like 90 over 60, which is low, but it's certainly helpful. Now, in my case, my breakfast, now when I did my intermittent fasting initially, I would skip breakfast and start eating at around 1 o'clock and go into dinner later on, and then just fast through until that point. I do something similar to that now, but instead of skipping breakfast, I skip dinner, except on Friday night, where I would have something, and it's the only time and Friday night and Saturday, the only time I eat any kind of bread, because uh, during that time I am a weekend rabbi in a nursing home, and for kiddush I have grape juice and a piece of bread. Anyway, so I take that, but other than that, I I'm steering clear of a lot of things, and I'm even starting to reduce my dairy consumption because of lactose and other issues with milk. But I still have some dairy. I still have cheese sometimes with my eggs in the morning. It's the only time I eat any dairy is in the morning anyway with breakfast. Uh, but today was no, it was just simply eggs uh, with butter and a can of sardines. And the only reason I have sardines is, even though it's a it's smelly food, it's nutrient dense, low mercury, and of course it's wild caught. In fact, Wild Planet is my brand of choice. In fact, I'll even put an Amazon link in the show notes. And yeah, I do have an affiliate link with Amazon, but it doesn't change the price on Amazon, and you can actually get a lot of things on Amazon that are amazing. And I try to keep myself in ketosis. I checked my blood sugar, and this morning it was like 90, and my ketone level, I have a Keto Mojo uh, meter for measuring blood sugar and ketones, and I do drink a keto drink in the mornings, bringing my ketones up from the like zero point 0.3 or zero point 0.5, and sometimes it'll go up to like 1.8, and that's good as long as it's between zero point 0.5 and 3. It's better than it's much better. Anyway, so we have that, and what else? Now, what I would like I say, as far as anything else is concerned, I can't tell you what's going to work for you, but I can tell you what's worked for me. And what's worked for me is that I've actually gotten my energy up because aside from with my sleep apnea and everything else, I had I would get very fatigued, during the day, and sometimes I would fall asleep at the most inopportune moments. That's not happening so much now. In fact it's improved a lot. And like I say, I recommend, and there are some books that I'm going to recommend in the show notes that can really help you. Um, Now, another thing I've also learned about ketogenic and carnivore diets is the fact that it's also beneficial for mental health. Um, I mean, Homestead How says it best when Gary talks about how it improves anxiety, depression, and all that. I can't, like I say, I can only say that my mental clarity has improved, and I've been able to focus myself and not worry so much about cholesterol numbers because, yes, I had high cholesterol, but from what I've learned, I will never ever take a statin. And the reason I don't take statins is the fact that there is no way in the world, because what happened was I had developed some severe arthritic pain in my fingers, and I also developed some brain fog. And when I stopped taking the statins, my arthritis issues basically took care of them. Basically got eliminated, and I started feeling much much better. So, and I've also stopped snacking for the most part, although there are certain snacks that I like, and one of which is Joe Borg, beef jerky type snacks. Most of what I eat now is meat based and only meat based. I uh, I learned through reading from and watching videos from Dr. Berry, Dr. Baker, and a few others that you don't really need fiber so much. Sometimes it can be hurtful and not helpful. Why block nutrients from going into the body that the body needs? I was also told to avoid salt. Why would and because it was linked to the high blood pressure. But I found out that it's not salt that's the enemy; it's the carbs that were causing it, because insulin, being a storage hormone, was blocking my cells from burning fat. And when that happens, that causes a lot of problems, and fat builds up around major organs, which is which leads to more problems. when I went, when I started doing this, all of a sudden I saw my blood sugar go down. My blood pressure also comes down a lot better than it used to be. And my A1Cs, as I told you, have come down significantly. And now now it's in the low fives, low to mid fives. And I'll I'll bring up my blood work hopefully on the next video. If you like what you see, and you want to see more tips and tricks, please put a like and a subscribe to this video, and check out some of the books that I have on there. Other segments that I'm going to show you are going to be business building. I so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do motivation and of course a health segment. As far as spiritual Sunday that I was doing before, I'm going to, instead of, because of time constraints, I'm going to maybe put a little bit of that into my health or my business videos. But in the meantime, remember, there's a ways to unleash your powerful self, and again, stay strong, stay healthy, and stay powerful.